What's up, family? This is your man, not your boy, bringing you another gold nugget that you can either pick up or you can just kick it aside. I got something very special today that I think that we all should come and chime in on what was recently, uh, advertised or put out there by Roland Martin, who actually did a State of Our Union address. And I wanted to do a reaction by us, for us, so that we can gotta give a chime in on what actually Reverend William Barber talked about the conditions of a people in America and some of the steps that we should take in order to rid this government of what they would call the Trump elite and his force. But yet, is it really what we have been hearing all of these years? I mean, let's get into this. I want to talk to the brothers and sisters in America and across the globe, that are in Africa, that are in Asia, that are in Europe, that are in South Americas and the islands, Canada, because we're scattered. We are the scattered people that the scriptures talk about, scattered through all nations, speaking all different tongues. If you don't know, you better know. And we're going to show the video and we're going to break it down in segments. And I want you all to call in. I'm going to put the link in the chat and we are going to engage in a conversation. We're giving you an opportunity to respond to some of the comments that Reverend Williams Barber had put together in speaking to our people. Shalom to brothers and sisters as y'all come in. I am glad that y'all are in. I want to do more shows like this because in these perilous times, we are finding that we are diving deeper into a world of mess. For even though, contrary to popular belief by our own people, we think that things are better. We think things are gotten better. And we still have this hope that a man government is going to save us. Now, I know there are people who are scoffers or who are non-believers of the Most High and say that nobody's coming to save us. But yes, that spirit within us that wakes us up, that saves us from our own stinking thinking and saves us from having the allegiance of a man's government that we always seem to have putting power into, hasn't done as much of anything. But I'm gonna show you the video and we're gonna get into the conversation. So as I go ahead and put this link in, for those who want to be part of this panel, please, by all means, you can call in and we can have us a mature conversation. Now, let me just say this right here. You're gonna have to show your face. If you're afraid and have fear that you might have may subject yourself to maybe some retribution or some kickback because of your employer or whatever, use your words wisely. We were all mature and been able to navigate through some of our true feelings and how we want to say what we want to say. But, let's have the conversation, men and women, of all races of faces from all different places. If you're out there, you can be part of this conversation. Why? Because let me just put this out here before I say this, because nobody knows who's part of the 12 tribes of Israel unless there are other spiritual connections that maybe you I have, or some lineage, or some DNA that some may say, or even some historical data to show who you are, but very few people know if they're part of the 12 tribes of Israel. We do know that a majority of us who came off of those slave boats have a connection. That's by proofs, by documentation, by the writers of those slave masters, by those who were in the slave trade, by those historians or those geographers who came into Africa, took note and noticed that there was a huge population scattered in Africa that had a Jewish, if you will, they say Jewish, but have a background with Jew traditions. And we do know that even through the Bible, the scripture, if you like to say Bible, but by the many of writings that show signs of who are these people, you can see that there are many of races of faces who are part of the 12 tribes of Israel. So without further ado, I have just put that link into the chat. If you do want to call in, please by all means call in and let's be part of this discussion. I'll wait till maybe I have 3, 4, or 5 people come in, and we're going to show the video, and there's going to be just 3 segments of it, 4 minutes a piece. And we want to hear what your thoughts are. Do you think, let me say this right here. Let me put a disclaimer right here first. Shout out to Roland Martin, who, though I am not in the same political beliefs and hope that he is, I do believe that the Most High is using him for a reason and a purpose at this moment in time. There is nothing that moves nor shakes, crawls or walks, flies, scatters, slithers on this earth that the Almighty has not ordained for it to happen. Whether it is good, bad, evil, it has already been predestined that this moment in time and day, that everything, governments, wickedness, evilness, love, has been ordained already. And so Martin, who is in the political arena, has his beliefs that we as a people should vote in governments in order to create change. Now, I'm not going to scoff at that. Now, you're looking at a man that many people ridicule, have ostracized, who have browbeated because I have never participated in voting. I've never participated in voting in one aspect. One I did do was I served this country for 20 years in the military, retired 20-year distinguished disabled veteran who have served this country. More than 97% of those who live in America over the years, only 3% of the population volunteers and serves in the military. So for those who wants to scoff and say, I didn't vote, let me ask you, did you serve to go fight and put your life on the line? I was in the wars. I had bombs blown over my head. I had to go out in the fields and play war games. I was in tents. I was in deserts. I was in other countries. I saw mangled bodies. I saw burnt bodies. So either which way one may feel, we all have our own predestined way of contribution to a people. And Martin happens to be on the political side that I believe does us little advancement. And though that we can say that we have made strides over the years because they have given us a job, we still see there is a long gap. Still, statistically, that is, we are getting worse when it comes into the housing, the business, the education, the loans. We fall behind in all of that. We know that even the Hispanic people have passed us in population, passed us in jobs, opportunities, and other benefits that should have availed us, but yet has availed them and other immigrants coming into this country. When you have Trump, who have just opened up the borders for white people in South Africa, who can become refugees, come into America because he says they are being oppressed because of lands being taken from them, yet have a disregard for what has been taken from us, taken from the natives of this land, and yet will not have retribution or reparations for a people. The link is in the chat for those who wants to be part of this discussion. I will play 3 clips of the State of Our Union address that Roland Martin played, and let's just hear from you. Is voting the way of our way in or out of a system that is already problematic, that is filled with racism, that has crippled many of people? You know, what I find that is interesting is, welcome, brother. I'm gonna put you on mute. Welcome to the show. So I'll put you on mute real quick. But what I find interesting now listening to Roland and his panel, that we have our beautiful brothers and sisters out there that believe in the vote. Then I will never ostracize or ridicule. You'll never hear me talk about our brothers and sisters, because somewhere in the battle we are in, we all don't need to be doing the same thing. But my issue that I have at times now, especially today, is now they're attacking our other people who voted for Trump. Now, I thought the thing was get out and vote. That's what I thought it was about. Now they're ridiculing, they're bastardizing, if you will, those people who went and voted for Trump. I thought it was your right to vote for whomever you so choose, and yet let the vote stand, what have you. But this is where we are now today. Attack those who did not vote for who you wanted in office. We know voting is only for the vote. People vote for their own individual interests, not collectively. Why? Both sides of the house or the aisle, Republicans and Democrats, have done an injustice to a people of color. But yet we want to side with one side when it comes to, well, either this side is for programs that may assist those who may be lower in the scale of income, and or those who are in a higher scale of income, those who may have a sense of religious beliefs or those who do not. The argument goes back and forth. And this is why I have a disdain for those who push voting and yet at the same time get upset when their candidate has lost or others didn't vote for their candidate. When this is supposed to be a free market of voting for those who can choose who they want. Now, all of a sudden, it's about, I told y'all so, see what y'all got us in. My take is, to each his own. I choose not to vote because I learned very on when I went in the military at 17. When I went into the military at 17, there was this idea that whomever you vote for in the military, of Republicans or Democrats, one party will keep you out of the war, but will give you a poor pay raise, and the other side will put you in war, but will get you a greater pay raise. Which do you want? I was not going to go vote for that sense thing. Yes, I could get involved in, and I know there are many people who are in the political arena who can wrap that around my head, who know so much more, who are inclined or knowledgeable, like our brother Roland Martin, who knows what's going on, and those programs, those orders, those bills, those things that they are coming, they're taking away or they're adding in. We need people like that. We need people to keep us abreast of what's going on in this wicked government. But what I don't believe in is that how I, who have a bachelor's degree in biblical studies and theology, which means very little to me, because I have learned that that really was all a lie when I went to school, and I had to learn really the truth, that I learned that there is a king that we should follow. And that king is a kingdom that we fall under in a different law and order versus what this world has law and order over. We know this justice system is not for everybody. We know it's against only a certain few. We know there are people who reaps billions of dollars off of a judicial system, the prison system, and other systems of this world. But we were told scripturally, our belief should be in the Most High. And I'm going to tell you, by my serving, when I came out of darkness, when I was in the world, and I came into the light, my life drastically changed because my mindset and my consciousness changed. When that changed, it made me a better man, a better husband, a better father, a better neighbor, a better coworker, a better business owner, and everything in my circle blossomed. And I learned it was not the government who will do for me. It was me who had to get out of that bed and go do for myself. This government can't do anything for me. Little to nothing, let me say. It has influence and impacts. Yes, it does. Yes, it has control over me receiving that retirement check I get, or people getting their disability checks, or people getting their social securities, or, funding to go take care of the military that keeps this place secure and have the liberties and freedoms that you have. Yes, it does. It takes care of programs of those for the poor, the widow, the homeless, for shelter. All of those things, yes, it's very important. But what I'm saying is that my faith leans on the Most High, and that is who I vote for all day, every day. This world's going to do what it's going to do. We see that Scripture says things don't ever get better. They get worse. And until we wake up to that truth, then we are going to realize we can cry out to the Lord for the vengeance of our enemies and for the return for that we can be introduced to the new heaven and earth. Let me go ahead now. I got two people. I need one more person coming in. I got two. Inika, I see you back there. So I do have you. I'll be bringing you in, as well as UB, who is back behind the scenes. So please do not leave. I'm glad you all coming in to join the discussion. Please, by all means, let's keep it professional and let's keep it, mature. Let me put the link back in here for those who wants to join the panel. I just need one more person. That'll be three, so we can have us a diverse panel of beautiful different perspectives. It doesn't matter who you are, what your race is. Let's hear. What are your thoughts? And so I got a couple of clips that I'm going to play. Let me play this first clip right here for those who, while we wait, a clip from Martin Luther King, because Reverend William Barber, he's going to share his thoughts. And this was, I call it a Martin Luther King on steroids, another hype me up speech that he did, which was very, very well put together, showing exactly what's coming to pass. But let me play this clip here. Martin Luther King. Real short clip. Hold 1 second.
I must confess that involved in a war on Asian soil, which, if not checked and stopped, can poison the very soul of our nation.
Now, Martin Luther King himself had stated that his dream turned into a nightmare. And, he's true. Even though he said he had hope, he was murdered 11 months later after that video. I tried to find a video of him stating that that he had brought a people into a burning house. And that's what he said, that he realized he had brought us into a burning house, a racist American system that we still see we're behaving and acting in the same fashions that we have been behaving in the last 100 and something years since we've received our freedoms. So what avails us now to do differently? I'm saying, and I'm going to stand by it, until our people begin to follow the laws, the statutes of the Most High, nothing's going to change. We are so segregated as a people. We are so segregated as a people that we have our own agendas, our own beliefs, our own ways of thinking, that we're not collectively as a whole, that we stand for our own agendas. But we don't go ahead and bring in people right now. We have currently Inika. UB, can you please show your face? TO, everybody has to show their face so we can get into discussion. And we're going to just get into this right here. I would like each to go ahead and introduce themselves. Maybe tell what your profession maybe is, your background, whatever. Just one quick spill in a minute. But UB, are you there? TO, are you there? While they do that, Nika, you since you're up on stage here, please by all means, thank you for coming to the show. Go Black to Africa, and please introduce yourself.
Can you hear me okay?
Oh, you're loud and clear.
Okay. Excuse me. My name is Nika, and my channel is West Coast Media Solutions.
Okay.
I am a federal employee with USDA Rural Development. I'm a community program loan specialist. So I help rural communities with funding for their water systems, sewer systems, and community facilities like fire trucks, police vehicles, charter schools, hospitals,
Okay.
things of that nature.
Okay. And you're in California,
I'm actually in Louisiana. I'm from
Louisiana.
California.
Oh, okay. Okay. All right. Well, great. Well, welcome to the show. I appreciate you.
Thank you.
Appreciate you. Is UB? Are you there or TO?
Uh,
I do not hear them. Let me put the
I'm
link in.
TO is here.
I'll be right back.
Uh,
Okay. Okay. Let me go ahead and
TO
pay.
is here. Can you hear me?
TO?
Yes.
Yes. Can you please show your face?
Unfortunately, my camera is broken, so I cannot. But uh,
Hello?
uh, I cannot show my face. Unfortunately, my camera is broken. But here on YouTube, I broadcast as Black Geopolitics.
Okay.
I use AI primarily on my channel. I don't usually show my face because my camera is broken. So that's why I use AI to some degree. However, many of the AI voice that I use on Black Geopolitics is a male voice.
Okay.
However,
So TO, one of I would have to I'm gonna have to bid you farewell because one, I must see a live face. I do not know.
well, I don't have a live face. I wish I had a picture. I'll show you a picture, but I
Well,
don't have a live face.
that's okay because I know AI. I've gotten caught up in this before when I did my shows, and there was definitely I can't say it was AI driven, whatever, but it was a situation that was not a live person, and it was
Well, I'm
it was a
definitely a
hoax.
live person, so AI cannot respond to your
I understand,
live
but
questions
I
in real time.
appreciate you coming in because this requires people
Okay.
to just be live and show themselves. But thank you very much. So yes, the link is back in the chat. Yes, you all, I have to have a live face because this has got to be a genuine conversation. This is not an opportunity for those to come and just maybe say what they will and not be able to live by what they say by showing themselves. This is exposure. Believe me, I put my face out here and I'm seen in public. And everywhere I travel, people come up to me. And yes, sometimes it's not friendly. So, but anyway, let's see if we can get more people in. The link is in the chat and we will go on. I just showed a video of Martin Luther King. And what do you think about that, Anika? That was back in 1967, May of 1967. He believed that his dream turned into a nightmare. What's your thoughts?
Oh yeah, I mean most of the time they only want to talk about the first few stanzas of that speech where he's talking about he dreams of one day little black girls and little white girls and et cetera, et cetera. And nobody ever really mentions as you go down in the speech where he says that he fears that he's led his people into a burning building.
Yeah.
And it was at that time where he realized that integration was not the right approach, that actually the Honorable Malcolm X had the right approach and the right thinking. But at that point, it was already too late.
Mm-hmm. It was too late. And, do you think that there has been much change since then?
No,
In your
because they've
opinion?
only integrated our money, but everything else, we're still at the bottom, as the saying goes. If you're white, you're right. If you're, yellow, stick around, or if you're brown, get down, and if you're black, stay back. And
Yeah.
it's still that way.
Yeah, I was looking up the stats, and I was amazed to see how much far we are lagging behind and than other race of people that are here in America. Still we are lagging at the bottom of education, housing, business loans, wealth gap. We are lagging in all areas, and yet everybody else are progressing while we are, digressing. And it's a shame to say that if we believe in a system that we have to go vote, where is our vote? How is it doing us justice if we do see things are getting worse?
Voting is a complete waste of time, because the only reason why they even allow it is to provide them with a form of legitimacy. This is the same thing when they go in and they do a regime change. It's very important that before they install their puppet government, they tell the puppet leader that they need to get their people, their citizens, out to vote, to give the appearance of legitimacy and choice, when really we have no choice. We have owners, but we have no choice. And the whole thing, when you hear people say, well, the best of two evils. Well, evil is just evil. There is no such thing as the best of two evils. If you're evil, you're just evil. And if it was really a choice, or if it was really going to benefit us in any way, they would outlaw it. They wouldn't even allow us to do it if it was going to benefit us. But it's all a Jedi mind trick, banana in the tailpipe, just to give us the illusion that we actually have a choice or we have a say, when we really don't.
That is true. So I just read that. Do y'all? I just muted my mic. Somebody said she sounds better now. So okay, I'll make sure I mute my mic, because I think this mic here is picking up from my computer. So somebody said it sounds better now. So I'll make sure that I do that. Thanks for letting me know on that mic there. But yeah, you're right. It is where, on the surface or the appearance, they make it seem as though that if we get out and vote, we can make such a huge change. But they know that they're needing for us to vote so that their candidate will win, so that they will be in power and continue to hold seats, or to continue to push along their agendas with our vote. But us being 13% or 16% of the population, when they still have control of 67%, I think it is, or 62% of the population, or 95% of the House of senators are Caucasian, then it's like, how do we really make a difference when it comes to us voting? And then when we talk about the split and divide of us, are people who might stand on both sides of the aisle. You're going to get some votes split, Democrat or Republic. So where does it get us? It get us nowhere. I mean, unless we can collectively become some type of independent party or become a nation of our own, then I see little to any change that can happen positively for us as a whole. But I think that, Roland Martin, being that he stands in that political arena, he believes that we can make a difference, and they do have that hope. And I've said earlier, as a disclaimer, I have nothing against any of our brothers and sisters who are in that arena, because yes, if they're the ones knocking down that door to try to get the votes, or may have some lobbyists there in Capitol building who are trying to push different programs or agendas to help the people, we will benefit. Yes, we will benefit, and we need such. But I'm on the other side of the aisle, who is trying to get our people to act right, be right, and love right, and that is following the Most High's law, statutes, and the commandments. Without that, we are nothing. We're a people who will stand out here and behave how we are today in our struggles. So I see T.O.
Look at the Asians. They don't really vote, but yet they're excelling. We don't need to go out and vote. All we need to do is is pulled together collectively like we did prior to 1965.
Circulating that dollar in the
Exactly.
neighborhoods and promoting one another and building one another, respecting and loving one another, then we then look out for one another. You don't need much of that, because I believe once you become an upright standard person who have moral values, you will blossom. You will become successful. You will have an urge to get up and go do for self, and you would have that unction to function. Without that, I think that we will continue to ride that wave of misery and pain and agony that is a residue from slavery. Your thoughts?
Absolutely. But I mean, voting, like I said, as far as I'm concerned, voting is a waste of time. I was actually 30 years ago, I was an intern at the White House in the West Wing during Clinton's first administration, and I got to see firsthand some of the shenanigans that go on. This was prior to Monica Lewinsky. I'm a couple of years older than her, by the way, which I still don't know how she pulled that off. But I got to see some of the shenanigans that goes on, and I used to think that I wanted to be in politics until I went and did that internship, and then after that, I was like, no. And I actually I had to take classes while I was there, and in my program that I was in, and I did a paper on the Congressional Black Caucus. And I actually interviewed, he was a freshman Congress a man at the time. His name was Walter Tucker from out of LA. And he showed a lot of promise. I think he was very sincere. I think he had great intentions, but he found out and realized after a couple of years of being in Congress that the machine was just too big and it was just too powerful. And he decided to take on the old adage of when in Rome, do as the Romans do. If you can't beat them, join them. And as we all know, that those folks, they can do certain things and get away with a lot of things. But if we try to do some of the same things, they're going to throw the book at us. And that's what happened with him. He ended up getting into some trouble with some campaign funds or something or another, and he ended up losing his seat. Nothing that he did was anything that the folks hadn't been doing and have continued to do even 30 years later. But yeah, that's what it ends up happening, is that the few people that do manage to get in and they have the best of intentions, but then eventually they get tired of bumping their head up against a wall and they figure, well, you know what? I'll try to get a little bit of something from my constituents. But hey, I just got to be like everybody else and, get what I can for myself and my own family or whatever. And that's how it ends up going. And now it's gotten to the point, at least back then, some of the Congressional Black Caucus members had some morals and some principles and stood on some business. But now we don't even have that anymore. They don't speak for us at all. They're more concerned with speaking for immigrants or illegals or the alphabet soup people, which if you're part of that community, that's your business. But, they're more concerned with speaking for everybody else, but who puts them there, which is us. So that's why I've just completely written them completely off. I have not voted since Obama, and after seeing what he did in the second term, I regretted even that. So, I'm just washed my hands of it completely because it's just a big game. It's a big game, and we're just the pawns in it. And the only way that you can win a game or an argument is to just stop playing, just stop talking. And then the whole thing collapses. That's why they're so concerned with us, because we are the soul of America. We are the soul people, and we are their Achilles heel. We are their constant reminder of what some forefathers have done to us. And so,
they don't speak for.
they're having a conniption that we have decided as FBAs to stand on business and to say, you know what? That's not our problem. That's not our issue. We're not getting out there. We're not marching. We're not doing any of that. Let the chips fall where they may, because if you guys are not going to stand on business and stand up for what's right and get us our reparations, then if we got to continue to suffer, then everybody suffers.
That's correct. You're correct, and I appreciate that. The we are used as pawns because they know that we are an economic advantage to them, and the money that we spend, we spend billions of dollars to make them more richer, and without us, they have less. UB, I see that you are in. Can you bring yourself in, please, so we can see you? And if you can introduce yourself, if you're there. I don't know if he's having technical difficulties or not.
We are the sole people.
Yeah, I think he's got also another background. Do you have two, Nike, do you have two different sides playing, one computer, one another source?
I did, but then I muted it. It's the video, it's your channel, and then it's the StreamYard.
Right. So yeah, if you muted the first one that you were on.
Yeah, I muted the actual channel, and so now you can just only hear me through the StreamYard. Okay, so let me ask the people who are listening: do y'all hear echo when I'm speaking to her right now? That we're both can tell me how does it sound? Just want to make sure that there is no echo when me and you are talking. She sounds a lot better now, very clear. Okay, so nobody hears any echo when right now. Go ahead and say something, Nike. Okay.
Yeah. Okay, no echo. Okay, good. Because I went back and I did an echo cancellation. Good. I guess UB may be having some technical difficulty. Let's move on. I guess it's me and you tonight then, Nike.
That he's having a lot of feedback.
Who?
He said in the chat he's having a lot of feedback.
Okay. Yeah, I think because UB, you got two of the screens open. The first one you was on before you joined, you're going to have to mute or shut that down. And then just what you brought in, you can go ahead. When you came here on the show, just use that. All right. So we're going to go ahead and get into the video. And there's only 3 clips of this. He talked for 57 minutes, and I went through and I just dissected to 3. Each of them are 4 minutes, and we can go ahead and have a discussion on that, okay? So let's get into that. Let me go ahead and bring that up. He did a very good job, but even though there's some points that I don't agree with, but I understand why people have the beliefs that they have. So let me see here. Here we go. So we'll start here at the beginning. Let me push this whole screen. Okay.
Roland for calling us and assembling us and pulling us together in community where more than 200,000 people have joined, and that number is continuing.
Let me slow this down.
The time tonight is to wrestle with what is the state of our union. St. Augustine of Hippo out of Africa once said that wherever people say, or whenever people say the times are evil, it is essential to remember that we are our times. Or as James Baldwin said it so clearly, responsibility can be abdicated, but it cannot be lost. As long as we claim to have a government of the people, by the people, and for the people, then we, the people, have a responsibility to guard our union. And we would be wise to begin by remembering what binds us together. Though imperfectly, but remember what binds us together. Our ancient religious traditions teach us that love, justice, and mercy are the responsibilities not just of individuals, but of governments. In fact, Isaiah chapter 10 says, "Woe unto those who legislate evil and rob the poor and women and children of their right." It is a terrible thing to open the Congress, for instance, with prayer and pray, P-R-A-Y, and then go forth to pass policies that P-R-E-Y prey on the very people that God cares about the most, the poor, the widows, the children, those who've been pushed to the margin. One of our own prophets reminded us that Amos prophesied in God's name, let justice roll down like waters and righteousness like a mighty stream. But if you read back up in Amos 5, that same text, those rivers of justice only roll down when a remnant of people come together and cry out in the streets, shut down the malls and everything, and declare, not on our watch. God said that when a remnant comes together, they said, not on our watch, not now, then God said, I will visit you and help you, and then justice will roll down like waters and righteousness like a mighty stream. Jesus was clear that nations, not just individuals, but nations, Roland, will be judged by how we treat the hungry, the thirsty, the naked, the stranger, and the least of these nations would be judged, not just individuals. And we can never forget that. We can never forget that nations will be judged, not just in some hereafter, but even now, nations will be judged because how we treat the vulnerable is how we treat God. There is no way to declare in God we trust, but then the vulnerable cannot trust us with power or trust us with the realities of our government. Not only our moral traditions, but what Abraham Lincoln called our ancient faith, but also the commitments of our founding documents. Dr. King would never throw these documents away. He once said to America, if I was in some other country, I might not protest like I do, but I protest here because you had the nerve to put it on in writing and write it down on paper. The Declaration, for instance, of Independence, we hold these truths to be self-evident that all persons, all men, are created equal, endowed by the Creator with certain inalienable rights, among which are life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. And I see my dear lawyer friend in the house tonight, and she'll tell you that there's something else in that Declaration of Independence. It says that when there has been a long train of abuses, it is the duty, it is the responsibility of the people to rise up and to change that form of government.
Yeah, here it is that, let me get back to my, here we go. What's your thoughts on that? Right there, that spiel, that was his intro basically into his 57-minute speech, Nick. Let me start off. Let me say this right here. I find it interesting that we can use scripture as far and intermingle it with governments of this world, when specifically scriptures talk about God's government versus man's government. And I think that's where we are betwixt. We are confused when it comes to, we think we give so much credit and we put so much faith into this man's government, who's proven to be an oppressor, who's proven to be racist, who's proven to be really outlook of themselves. And we hold true to a constitution that specifically allows a people to be imprisoned and have free and become slaves in this constitution. And we act as though that this constitution was built for us. And when it was written, we were never included in the mix. He also goes into talking about the prayer of the White House, or even probably to the Capitol building, of all the senators and all them there. This is hypocritical, because their God is not the God that I serve, nor that I know those who stand with me or walk in the faith. That is no God. Matter of fact, let me bring out a scripture real quick, where specifically Deuteronomy 28:36 says, the Lord shall bring you and your king, which you shall set over you, unto a nation which neither you nor your fathers have known. And there shall you serve other gods, wood and stone. This is where we stand when we see our brothers who are in religions that bow down to statues, who bow down to rocks and stones. And yet this is when we were scattered. This is during the time when the children of Israel, our people, who wanted a king. And God said, let me be your God. And they said, we want a king. They want something tangible. They didn't want a spiritual God and all these things here. And yet we turned around and got a king that really, ruined the whole situation and caused the whole nation to go into captivity. And here, when he's speaking of governments, We're talking about a corrupt, evil government that has no place in what I believe in our lives. Somehow, some of our brothers and sisters have a faith in that, and so be it if that's their faith. I'm looking at my notes because I took notes before I even came on the scene, but um, the government is God's man's. This government is by man, and it's not God's. Our will, we should be doing God's will, and this remnant that he speaks of in Scripture was a specific people. It was not an entire world. This was a specific people, and it was the nation of Israel, our people. Um, their gods is not our God. Their God was, their God is where they can change laws every day. It's okay to be part of that alphabet crew. It's okay to go ahead and smoke your weed or take your legalized drugs. It's okay if you go ahead and, do under the table deals and scams and schemes and all these things. This is the type of system in the government that we live in that's forever changing. But the laws and statutes by the Most High never changes. And so he being a pastor and his allegiance still to a man's government, I find that quite odd. What's your take on that, sister?
I I really don't like when they try to combine church and state. I really feel that it should remain separate, because I don't know what God they're referring to, because God spelled back the other way around spells dog.
Yeah.
So they could be talking about who knows?
Who is this? Yeah. Yeah.
So when I hear people intermixing like that with politics, I just tune them out.
Mm-hmm.
I just totally tune out.
Yeah, yeah. And the interesting thing that I've learned, if you listen to the whole speech, and you can go to Roland Martin's channel, you can listen to his whole speech. You can tell he was playing the safety. He was on the safe line, because he was also inclusive further on in his speeches where he was including the alphabet crew and all other people and all these other demographics that are really contrary to the scripture. And yet, he was making sure that he was not inciting people's spirit to riot and stand up in a violent way. So he had to be safe and calculating in that way with his message, which of course, because, even churches get government backings and they get government fundings too. So you got to be careful that you don't mess up that little checks that you got coming in. And so I thought that was, quite interesting. So let's move on to you had anything else that you wanted to add to that he said?
No, I mean, I don't put a whole lot of stock in traditional leaders of these congregations and whatnot, just because of a lot of stuff that we've seen that they have done. And I don't know much about this particular man, but a lot of them have, they just do so many underhanded or evil things behind closed doors that I don't put my stock or my faith in any of them. And then who is he to feel like he can speak for us? I would have rather had the minister, Louis Farrakhan, up there, speaking. I think he has more credibility and more of a ground to stand on than this guy,
Even though Farrakhan, boy, Farrakhan has definitely, he's older now. He's old. I mean, he's almost 90, I think. Has definitely softened his speech. And there's things that he's definitely done that I have not liked, certain things. And of course, we don't totally maybe like what somebody does or says in their whole span of their career. But but apparently Roland Martin used this minister here during his segment of this political upheaval attempt of trying to, I guess, wake up people up in what is happening here in this government today. So I found it quite interesting. Want to have that discussion. I'm not familiar who he is, but apparently, I guess Roland Martin was able to bring him in and just to energize or re-energize a people and wake a people up with a message of don't bow down, which we will get into. You'll hear him say here in probably the next or 2-second segment. So let's get into this next part. Let's get into the next. Let's see here. Me going over to the next segment. 246.05.
This is not a time just for cute bumper sticker protests. Our faith traditions and moral traditions provide a firm foundation upon which to stand against the divide and conquer strategies of these extremists. In this moment, like never before, we must believe in a moral agenda that stands against systemic racism, labor exploitation, poverty, xenophobia, and any attempt to promote hate toward any members of the human family. We must be openly and deeply disturbed by the Trump, Musk, Johnson Republican agenda and never separate them. They're all one. One for all and all for one. This is their focus on cutting programs for the poor to get tax cuts to the wealthy and big corporations and more money for the war machine and mass deportation. And we must tell the truth about what's going on, because you cannot organize a movement without an analysis. You have to have an analysis. You have to know what the real truth is, what the battle lines are. It's truth-telling time. And truth-telling in a time of lies is one of the most radical forms of nonviolent action and civil disobedience known to humanity. Only the truth can set us free. We say our people are afraid, but we must do the analysis to understand why they're afraid and what's causing their fear and what will remove their fear. We must tell the truth until everybody knows. For instance, Elon Musk, connected to South Africa, the unelected head of the new Department of Government Efficiency, announced in January that he aims to cut $2 trillion in spending, or 30% of the current federal budget. Tonight, as I walk through, I'm going to focus specifically on the budget, because one of the things you have to come to understand is that these people do not run for office to give out keys to the cities and certificates. When they run for office, they are running to write statutes and to control the money. That's their purpose. And so he wants 30% of the current federal budget. But without major cuts to the Pentagon and war spending or defaulting on interest payments, we must tell the truth, Barbara, that such drastic slashing would be mathematically impossible without gutting vital programs, such as Social Security, Medicaid. Every time you hear them say, we want to cut $2 trillion, you must understand that is mathematically impossible without gutting programs like Social Security and Medicaid and Medicare. We must tell the truth that while Republican leaders of the House and Senate haven't come to a consensus yet on the specifics of their tax spending plan, the Republicans in the House are aiming for what they call one big, beautiful bill that would make $2 trillion in cuts over 10 years. Now, you know what happens about 10 years from that is when the demographics shift in this country. And you no longer have a majority white country. First time in Western Hemisphere, when the folk that were brought here from slavery, the people who were brought here to work from Mexico and other Latin American places, the black folk from Haiti, from Africa, those people brought in will become the majority. In South Africa, they were always the majority. But we've never seen this, where those who were the slaves and those who were the workers become the majority of the country that enslaved them. And that country has the greatest gross domestic product in the world.
Yeah, that country have the greatest, GDP in the world. It's because, like we said before, we spend a lot of money. But what I would like to respond to that was that last part, because we can talk about spending cuts and we could talk about what effects it's going to have and all that right there. Even Obama and the rest of whether it's Democrat or Republicans, have done cuts. Obama, matter of fact, I did a video, I think a week or so ago. Bill Clinton, Obama, and them, they were all for cutting back the government. They were all for it. So this ain't about a party or anything. This is about, this is what they do. And it's just when you pick sides, you want to go ahead and slam the other side as though that they're the worst. But really, when it comes to what he's talking about, just in 10 years, that the majority is going to be the minority and we're going to be the face of America, does not mean anything. Because if anybody knows anything about Europe Europe has done a strategic move in allowing what Biden has just done, open up a floodgates to let many people in. Why is that? It's because of the fact that there is a failing birth rate in the white community.
Mhm.
And if you want to protect the future of your investment and also your retirements and 401ks, you must have workers. And if you have workers, they're the ones who are going to sustain the system for you to be able to continue to maintain your wealth. This is why Europe had allowed a huge population of immigrants to come in to be the workforce in order for those who are enjoying their pensions and enjoying the retirements are being sustained by the working class who are immigrants. And this is why you see the shift of what we see now. The worker bees are minorities. And those who may be the educated ones with the degrees and all these other things, these become the middle class, if you want to call them. I call them the lower class. But these are the people who are working, and these are the ones that you keep happy in having them believing that the system is working for them because they have a job and they can buy maybe a house and have a car. You keep them happy. But the 1% elite is what runs and controls the system. It is amazing that 100 people can run over 300, can control 370 or 380 or 400 million people. And it's always been that. You know, it's amazing when you can see a riot of people that's by the thousands and you can only have 100 police officers who can control those masses. Why? Because they know that if you show a force or you have the small numbers who may show a force, the majority is going to fear. Why? Because many people are afraid to die. When you're afraid to die, the minority will always control. And this is why really slavery lasted as long as it did, is because people were afraid to uprise and to die.
Yep.
And sad to say, that will continue on probably for eternity. What's your take, Nike, on what he had said this segment?
Well, first of all, like you just said, every president that has come into office has done cuts. Bill Clinton cut the military greatly, and that was during your time when you were in.
Yep.
And he closed down a ton of bases and deported a lot of people. Obama deported more people than Bill Clinton and more people than what Trump did in his first term.
Mm-hmm.
And so they all come in and do cuts of varying degrees. In terms of them cutting programs or whatever, the bottom line is that the U.S. is bankrupt. The dollar is only worth about 3 cents. And it has everything that other empires did that led to their demise. The U.S. has done those exact same steps. The only difference is that the U.S. will be the fastest empire to fall because it's less than 300 years old. All those other empires were in empire for many, many, many years. But everything that Rome did, for example, the U.S. has done and continues to do. So all of these things that Trump is doing now is just last-ditch effort to try to save the empire. But there is nothing that he can do or anybody else, whether Biden was reinstalled or not, or Kamala, was installed or not. There is nothing that anybody can do that is going to change the trajectory of the United States. It's just simple math. And you can go to usdebtclock.org. It's in real time, and you'll see how the debt is stacking up every second. And that's not even the true number. I think it's like around 37 trillion or so. Mm-hmm. And some economists have said that is more probably closer to 100 trillion or something crazy like that, because they have off the record expenses for Homeland Security, the Pentagon, and stuff like that, that they don't even, the general public doesn't even know anything about.
Yeah.
So, I mean, it's just, all you got to do is think about your own personal household. Once you get to that point to where you're spending 150% more than what you're bringing in, something has got to give at some point,
Yeah.
And the only reason why we've been able to get away with it is because we've been the world's reserve currency since World War II. But the days of the dollar is coming to an end, and it's coming a lot faster than what I thought, or in most people thought that it would, because when Biden sanctioned Russia and kicked them off the SWIFT system, all that did was accelerate things. So now we're to the point now where less than 60% of the world's economies are utilizing the US dollar. The BRICS countries, they have already put in place, they already have their system in place to mimic the SWIFT system. And they've been testing it out. And those BRICS countries have been trading amongst each other using their local currency, just completely bypassing the dollar. President Putin just said that once an agreement is made, that he's going to allow Russian companies to go back to trading with the US, but he said that he's not so sure that they will, or the people will, because we have literally taught them how to live without us. And a lot of the products and services that they're getting from their own country companies are far more superior than the crap that they was going to get or could get from the US. So, I say, in my opinion, that we've got maybe about 5 years before this whole charade comes to a crumbling down.
Crashing down, exactly. JCW, I see you in the background. On this panel here, you're going to have to show your face. So if you want to join the panel, please, by all means, please show your face so that I can bring you in. JCW, I see you in the background. You entered in the backstage. If not, then we can move on to this last segment clip that Reverend William Barber was preaching or teaching or talking through the title, The State of Our Union Address. So UB, you're back. UB, you still got that echo going on. You're gonna have to you got two platforms on. You gotta have one, because I hear myself talking.
Platforms on.
Yeah, you got
Going in and out.
what you was in initially. You need to shut that down, and what you're in now, when you came in my backstage,
you need to shut that down. And what?
Yeah, he's having some technical difficulties. I guess JC, are you there? JCW.
You can hear me?
Yes, you need to show your face.
Okay, my phone is I'm having a little financial setbacks with my phone. My camera's not quite working. But I just did want to just come and just say, I appreciate all the work you've been doing. I've been following you for quite some time now here on YouTube, and I appreciate you bringing all of these topics to the forefront. It's really it's really the education that we need, and
Well, thank you.
my camera, I'm trying to get this to work, but if you could give me just a few moments, I did want to just
I
bring up.
I can't do that because I also with a young lady did not allow her to come in because
Okay,
that's just
okay.
one of my rules. But I
Thank you
I
for the
appreciate
time.
the
Thank you.
compliments. Thank you. Yeah, I appreciate the comments and all that there, but I have to be consistent across the board. So let's get into this. Let me see if you be
Consistent across the board.
no, he still got his echo. So let's move on to this last segment right here and see what the old Rev got to say, and then we'll maybe see if somebody else wanted to come in the end and maybe join in to say some last words. Let's get into it. And let me do this right here. Okay.
In this confession about the state of our union, our moral objection is not about personality, it ain't about style, it's not about political opinions, it's about the size of a government. It's not about the size of the government, it is about the tyranny of technology and our refusal to bow to the God of efficiency because the distorted faith violates our moral commitment to equality and freedom that an imperfect government was fashioned to sustain. If people's lives and livelihoods can be dismissed as waste, without due process, we forsake our moral commitment to equality. So we refuse to bow. Because if an unelected technocrat can delete the financial commitments of a government established of and for by the people, we betray our moral commitments if we bow to that. Who knew that one person could give out all your information? That one person could walk in one office and tell one person to push one button and they had access to all of your information and could then probably on the back end make it so that even if they give the information back, they still have access to it. We refuse to bow because if political leaders are willing to forsake their oath to establish justice and ensure domestic tranquility in order to appease billionaires, if we bow, we reject our faith and the moral foundations of our common life. We refuse to bow because the Congress does not stand by our commitments to partners and vulnerable neighbors around the world. We will abandon the moral foundations of the fragile peace we hope to sustain. We have to refuse to bow, and the truth is, when and if our political leaders have bowed to fear, to the tyranny of technology, to greed, to supremacy, in doing so, they no longer represent us. A Yale professor just last week said Trump is no longer the president because every day he has violated his oath of office. And so tonight, my family, we who believe in love, justice, and freedom must declare that we are not afraid of the false god of efficiency. We must declare we are not afraid of lies. We're not afraid of greed. We're not afraid of injustice. We're not afraid of religious and white supremacy. And we must declare that bowing down is not an option. It's not in our spiritual or historical DNA. We will not bow to any tyranny that claims that they have control of our common life because we know that the people of our communities have power. We actually have power to reclaim our moral commitments. We have power, and it's going to take time, and it will take a sustained effort, but it begins by telling the truth. In South Africa, they used to say, only a dying mule kicks the hardest. Langston Hughes used to say that we must take back our mighty dream again. America's never been America to me, but I swear it's oath that America will be. We have power. Did you know Trump, with all their money, won in the battleground states by a total of around 800,000 votes? But in those same states, millions of black people and brown people and poor and working whites didn't even vote. And if we begin to organize now for 2026 and move and inspire and unite those votes, we can shake the power of this nation. And we have to, because bowing down is not an option. We must reclaim our government. We must reclaim pledging ourselves to the reconstructing of America. We must call on lifting every voice to sing. In 1850, the Dred Scott decision came down, brother. It was a little down decision. There was a little down president, and a little down Supreme Court, and a little down Congress. And after the Supreme Court was stacked with slave owners, and they codified white supremacy into law with the Dred Scott decision, and they declared that Chief Justice Taney, who was rushed onto the Supreme Court, he gave in to the slave masters and ruled on the Dred Scott decision, saying that black folk in America didn't have any rights, that white people were honored and bound to respect. And in the midst of that, one of the sisters of the movement saw Frederick Douglass depressed. And she asked Frederick one question: is God dead? Are you going to trust Tanny? Are you going to trust God? Frederick Douglass said it shook him to his core. He said he had to speak. Got in the speaking engagement with the abolition group. And said to them, earth and heaven will despise this edict of Tanny. And I want my people to know, he said, as he talked to them, as monstrous as this moment appears, as monstrous as this decision appears, we can meet it in a cheerful spirit. Because this very attempt to blot out forever the hopes of the enslaved people may be the one necessary link in the chain of events preparatory to the downfall and the complete overthrow of the entire slave system. Then he said, the whole history of the anti-slavery movement is studied with proof that all measures devised and executed with a view to allow and diminish the anti-slavery agitation have only served every time to increase, intensify, and embolden our agitation. My brothers and sisters, justice-loving Americans, black folk conscious where you are, if Frederick Douglass, an abolitionist, could refuse to bow down in the 1850s, then surely we must declare now that bowing down is not an option. They are afraid of you. They are afraid of us. They would not be working this hard to suppress you if they were not afraid. Trump and Musk, even the filing of executive orders is proof of fear because they know they can never get passed through Congress. They are afraid. They're proud of the afraid. They are afraid of the power of love, the power of truth, the power of justice, the power of unity. They are all scared of our power, but they are betting that you will be afraid of them. But this is the time, as Frederick said, to increase, intensify, and embolden our agitation. And to declare that wanting to be a king or want to be king is only a king if we bow down. That's the only way to be a king, is we bow down. But bowing down is not an option. My knees and your knees are not made for bowing to a power-drunk neo-fascist. We bow only to God. Otherwise, we stand tall. When they attack everyday people with bad, mean, hurtful policies, we must stand tall and increase and intensify and embolden our agitation and say no. It's time for our pulpits to stand tall, to call on the people to increase, intensify, and embolden our agitation and declare not on our watch. In our protest, we must stand tall and increase, intensify, and embolden our agitation. If black and white folk and women and gay and straight and Christian and Jews and Muslims and Unitarian could do it 60 years ago in Selma, if they could stand tall and advance and never sound retreat, then surely we can stand tall now and intensify and increase and embolden our agitation. We must do it in our organizing. We've got to increase and intensify and embolden our agitation. We've got to stand tall because bowing down is not an option. It may take a mass call-ins, but we got to increase, intensify, and embolden our agitation and stand tall. It may take mass non-dollar sit-ins. It may take mass pray-ins. It may take labor striking on election days to ensure that all the workers are getting people to the poll. But that's all right. Whatever it takes, we got to increase, intensify, and embolden our agitation. It may take massive lawsuits and class action lawsuits of the people, but we got to stand tall. And if we stand tall, their plan won't work. As long as we stick together and stand tall in every precinct, stand tall in every voting district, stand tall in every city, stand tall in every state, stand tall, because what has been created and done can be undone. If we stand in the truth, stand in love, stand in justice, the God of the universe will be with us and change will come. Because when we stand with God's truth and God's love and God's justice, I learned this a long time ago, one can chase 1,000 and two can put 10,000 to flight. Because when we stand with God's truth and God's love, dark Friday, mean political Friday, can become new Sunday mornings of mercy and righteousness. But when we stand with God's truth and love, ashes of repentance can become great moments of renewal. It's time, y'all. It's time, family. Wherever you are sitting with the family out there in a church, sitting in your living room, thank God you're hearing this tonight. The lies and the greed cannot have the last word. It's time to increase workers, protests. People can put together their lawsuits. We can do all the kinds of ends we need to do because we love justice and we love righteousness and we hate injustice. We may have to do it all. I suspect we will. I suspect and prophesy tonight that when it gets warmer, you may see in America the same thing you saw in Egypt and places. You may see a fresh freedom summer, organic, just coming up. Because there comes a time, as Dr. King reminded us, people just get tired. Get tired. If they tell you as a worker, you got to leave your job legally, why don't you just sit there, make them arrest you, and then file a lawsuit against it? Somewhere I read, like Dr. King, we got the right to freedom of speech, we got the right to assembly, We got the right to life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. We have all these rights. It's time now to believe it, stand on it, believe it, don't back up from it. We in this moment must use every moral tool at our disposal and every nonviolent method to embolden and intensify our agitation for love and justice and righteousness. Stand up in every pulpit. Stand in every federal job. Stand in protest and expose what they're doing. Stand with every American, no matter who they are. If they believe in one nation under God, indivisible, with life, liberty, and justice for all, stand with them. Flood the congressional phone line. Flood them with calls of protest and moral dissent. Stand up in the town hall. Go to the offices. Stand with facts and with faith. Stand and don't bow down and declare. As long as you got breath in your body, as long as you're clothed in your right mind, as long as you have a portion of health and strength, because you care about this generation and the generation behind you. Stand up, because God can do more with a remnant that will stand than a crowd that will bow. Stand. Stand. And don't let anything keep you from standing, because bowing down is not an option now. God bless you.
And so Roland went on, and he had a panel of people. Many people spoke on this. He was in his studio here with people of different backgrounds who were just chiming in on this subject matter. It was very interesting, and like I said, that I do not oppose Roland Martin in his efforts. I believe that the Most High is using him on the other side in some form or fashion, because nothing moves, wiggles, flies, scatters, squiggles, whatever. Let me turn back. People called in too. T.O.'s back. Okay. That nothing moves unless it's ordained by the Most High. And, I just think that we put so much faith in this government, as the Reverend was saying, that, we're believing for something, knocking on the door of oppressor who don't care nothing about you. They're not afraid of us. I don't believe they're afraid of us. Not at all. 73 million black folk, and then we can add another, 50 million of minorities are not going to take over this country by wealth. Majority, 50% of us are living in poverty. Money is what, if we collectively could stand and use our money together, we could build our own nation. But I think we as individuals are worried about our own safety and security. That majority, according to the stats, 50% of households don't even have $1 in their savings account. So what do? You submit to the oppressor on your job. You zip your lip. You remain quiet, play it safe so you don't lose your job, so you can keep your livelihood. And this is what they know. And they know that was where it brings a powerless people. But I believe that, yes, we should be bowing to the Most High, and we should be going back to what God said is, if you only obey my commandments, that I shall rescue you. I will be there for you. And that power will be able to bring up within us, to bring us ideas, bring us inspiration, motivation to be able to do something different. Because this government, we're not knocking down their door. And this government here is going to go to the pit of hell. And that's in my opinion, and based upon prophecy that has been told. My last, before I go ahead and let you lovely women speak, is that, again, I wanted to reiterate, stats show that we are in the worse conditions than we were before there was a integration that happened. We are in the worst conditions that have ever been. We have more of a polluted familyhood, broken family houses, drug infested, drugs that they have brought into our communities, guns, violence, less opportunities that we have ever had when we lived on our own side of the track, in our own. Don't get me wrong. I believe we can do business with everybody, but I know that other nations care about this. You got the Chinatown, Little Italy, Little Haiti, little. We got all of these different communities out here supporting themselves, and yet we take our hard-earned dollars and give it to other people, and yet we're the ones who are without. So let me make sure I'm not missing anything else here that I want to say on those last words. We've done the strikes, we've done the protests, we've done it all. and it still hasn't made any change, little to no change. And my thing is that we need to get back to standing as a righteous people when we had dignity, when we had integrity, when we had a support system in the community, when we took care of each other, when we had groups that were feeding our own people, when we had security looking out for the neighborhoods. These were the days of old until this system came and they broke it all apart and demolished it and caused more havoc in the communities than ever. And that is what they fear, is that if we ever wake up and we join together in unity, then they become afraid. But as long as they continue to tear down, they have no fear. Okay, sister, welcome to the panel, T.O. Please introduce yourself, give us a little background about yourself, and then give us what your thoughts are. I can't hear you. I think you're on mute. Hold on a second. You got yourself on mute.
Name is actually Tracy.
Tracy, okay.
And yeah, and I broadcast here on YouTube as Black Geopolitics.
Okay.
And as Black Geopolitics, I use AI primarily on my channel. Not because I'm afraid. I'm not afraid of anything. If I were afraid, I would not have put those videos out, because I put those videos out almost about a year before we ever got to where we are now, where everybody was still talking about getting ready for an election when we had Joe Biden in office. Okay. And on my channel, I decided to start broadcasting this because I could see what was about to happen. I am 59 years old. I've been around for a long time. Okay. So nothing is new under the sun. Okay. And as far as just a little bit about me personally, I happen to be a professional broadcaster. I used to do television news. I'm a journalist. I did that back about 25 years ago is when I left the industry. I did it for about 10 years in television and radio. After that, I got into software, and I've been in the technology industry for another 25 years. I've led consulting practices for major consultancies in the areas of CRM, okay, customer relationship management software. I did software that's in call centers, field service, marketing, those kind of arenas.
Okay.
So my background is very extensive, two separate industries, and I happen to be a devout Christian. Okay. Now, one of the reasons that I started Black Geopolitics was to answer one question. One, why Black people needed reparations. And so I knew that Black people, we never have a platform. All we ever do is talk. Okay. We never have platforms. We don't know how to organize properly, because what we organize for is civil rights. No one can give you your civil rights. God gave you the right to be born and live. That's human rights. Okay. You don't ask a man or a woman for your right to exist. That's crazy. Okay. It's insane. Only insane people do that. People who have scales on their eyes and plugs in their ears. Okay. So the Lord tells us in the scriptures what he has done to us. Okay. He did it for one reason, and that is because we are a very disobedient, stiff-necked people. We are. And instead of recognizing our own selves, how can we learn who we are? We have to read the scriptures. Right? So people say, we don't believe in God now. All of a sudden, no Christianity. Everybody's angry at each other. But yet God has been on your side the entire time. And we don't know because we don't read. We don't study. We don't show ourselves approved. So in the scriptures, he lets you know who you are. So on one hand, as a journalist, I can separate all these three parts of me. Okay. As a devout Christian, I know the difference between separation of church and state. That's church. Okay. This is not rocket science. As a journalist, I have to know the state. I know how the state works. You should know how the state works. You've lived in the state all your life. So now the question is, do you know how the church works? Because if you don't know how the state, you'll never know how the state works. You'll never know that. You still have plugs in your ears and scales on your eyes. It's not meant for you to see or understand. You live in an oppressive society. You're not even a citizen. Not really.
I think you're breaking up. You paused there. Yeah, I think it's a bad connection and all that right there. But she's hitting on some points there, Anika. What would you like to add to the clip that I showed, and anything else that you would like to say in closing?
So a couple things. When he mentioned something about minorities or something to that effect, I firmly believe that we are not they don't call us minority because of our numbers. They call us minority because of the word minor, meaning we need an overseer because we are childlike.
Yeah.
And also in terms of Elon Musk having access to our information. Well, Elon Musk used to own
Hey, Anika, let me let T is back. Let her finish up her thought. Real
Yeah,
quick.
I'm sorry about that, but like I said, I'm actually a nomad. I travel the world right now. I'm not working in software. I'm just traveling the world, and I'm right now on my cell phone, and I'm in a place where we don't have great internet connection.
Okay.
But the reality is that I just feel that as Black people, we have to wake up. We have to become educated. We have to become mature. Okay, we have to see the reality for where we are. Stop living in the fantasies of what they tell you. Look and know, believe your lying eyes. Your eyes are not lying. Believe your experiences. Okay. You are in a country where you have a constitution that still says you're 3/4 of a citizen. If they wanted to end that, take that out, they could have taken it out.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. You are still a slave. You cannot leave the country because you are economically poor. You're the only people in the world without a nation. You have no nation. Okay? We are captive slaves brought over and forced here. They have never seen us as individuals, as people. That's just the way it is. It's harsh. It's mean, sounds mean, but it's truthful, and truth will set you free. That's what the Lord says. Okay? When you can understand and see the truth, then you can actually make a plan. Okay? And your plan is not necessarily to fight them, because you can't fight them. Don't ever get it twisted. They have governments, nations all over that they have bombed Japan, okay? And that's why they're in submission. Everybody around this globe is afraid of them. And you are living in the belly of the beast.
Yep.
So what are you going to do? Are you going to get on your knees and pray and ask the one who can really help you? Because he did help us in the civil rights movement. Remember Reverend Martin Luther King, Malcolm X, and those people like that? They were all reverends and clerics. They were not regular people who led these movements. They were not just marching, they were praying. And the Lord God had to help us and deliver us. He kept us in the wilderness because you ain't ready. You're not ready. Mentally, we're not ready. We're full of pollution. So when you're ready, and y'all get on your knees, because he done told you right there in Deuteronomy, he's taking the scales off people's eyes. This happening all day. People are starting to understand, hey, that's us. That's us. That's us. And why is that happening? Because he is ready to move and deliver again. Okay? But you cannot get into the promised land with that stinking thinking. You're going to have to recognize who your God is. Your God is not the United States of America. Your God is not white people. Your God is no one other than Jesus Christ. And y'all are serious about that. deliverance will be at hand. Okay? That's all I want to say.
Well, I thank you there. You say your name is what is it?
My name is actually Tracy, but I have a
Tracy.
channel called Black Geopolitics here on
Okay.
YouTube.
All right,
Okay?
then. All right. And when everybody, please tune into her channel there. Sister has got a lot of knowledge and a lot of experience. So, hey, we love to support you in that area, my sister. I'm gonna pass the mic on over. You have you can stay on right here and let and Sister Anika go ahead and finish her thoughts on this last segment that we did in the video. Go ahead, sister.
So yeah, I was saying that I don't believe that we are only 13% of the population.
Mm-hmm.
Because why would you, if you think about it like a math problem, if you have mastered 80 something percent of the material, why would you focus all your time and energy on 13%?
Mm-hmm.
That makes no sense.
Mm-hmm.
You know, and I firmly believe that they call us a minority because of the word minor.
Mm-hmm.
In minority, meaning we are childlike. We need an overseer. As far as when he said that Elon Musk has access to our personal information. Well, Elon Musk used to own PayPal. Millions of people utilize PayPal every day. Not only that, every system in just about every major company has been hacked. The IRS was hacked back in 2017. So our DMV here in my state of Louisiana was hacked about a year ago. So they already got your information.
Yeah, that's been out there. Yeah.
So that is a non-point. In
They're
terms
already
of
tracking me, to be honest with you, on my channel, which came out
they
a year
track all
ago.
of us.
Yeah,
They have the ability to
they've
track
been hacking
every
me
single
and
person.
doxing me and everything under the sun.
Yeah, with you, almost everybody has a cell phone. So
Mm-hmm.
they have all your information. So I mean, that's they try to tout that to get people riled up for nothing. And I'm like you, Go Black, until we and Sister T here, until we get our minds right, because we have really divulged into debauchery and morality. We can't even, it's embarrassing. When we went over to Kenya, my husband and I last year, one of the things that some of our Kenyan brothers and sisters over there asked us was, what's going on in America? How come you guys don't know the difference between a man and a woman? And we had to tell them that most Americans don't subscribe to that nonsense. And they were like, well, how come we don't really see anything on social media about you guys saying that you don't subscribe to it? I said, because if you do try to speak out about it at one point in time, you would get censored. You would get your channels taken down.
Mm-hmm.
But that's how the world sees us. That the United States is a freaking joke to the rest of the world.
Mm-hmm.
They think we're crazy. They think we are lost our marbles. We have no sense of morality. We don't believe in family and traditional family anymore, collectively. And until we get back to that, there's a lot of us are just not going to be saved. And I've just come to
They want
terms
us to
with
be
that.
debaucherous. They want us to. It's interesting because I look at, we have the Democrats who supposedly are agnostic to God up until now, but they have been agnostic. They have nothing about God. And then you have the Republicans who are the fake God lovers. They pretend to love God. They're the evangelicals, when everything that they stand for is satanic. Okay. So if you are for white supremacy, murder, they have burned our bodies, hung us, cut our babies out our stomachs, taken our land, drag us, with trucks, decapitated, great men and women. It's so much
Mm-hmm.
filth that it's hard to even explain it for centuries.
Mhm.
If you can be for that, but you're a Christian, that that doesn't even line up. But see, we have lived under this kind of system for so long that we don't say anything. I look at Roland Martin. This is where I have my issue with Roland Martin because Roland Martin is a pastor, and all of these pastors in this United States, the only one talking about what I'm talking about on my channel is me.
Mm-hmm.
I'm the only one saying, hey, that's false doctrine. That's not true. But everybody else is just going with the program. You cannot be a Christian when Jesus says he is the way, the truth, and the life. He likes nothing but truth. There's no lie in him. The Satan is the father of lies. So
Mm-hmm.
if you're going to be a Christian and you're going to say that, hey, we're okay with this, there's a big problem with that. And all you're doing is putting yourself right on line with the same people who oppressed you. That's not me. And so while people, I don't have my face on my channel, it's not because I'm afraid. I just don't have the video camera. And to be honest, I'm busy. I got other things to do. I'm a tech person. It's modern day world we live in. Okay, so AI, quit, get it done. Okay, but that doesn't mean there's not a human being behind that. Okay, and at the end of the day, where y'all are seeing my face for the first time, they have been seeing those white supremacists on my channel. They have been seeing me for a long time. Okay, because
Mm-hmm.
they have doxed me, they have chased behind me, they have been bothering me, and as I've been traveling this world, they know exactly who I am, and so I have no problems with letting that know. Because you know why? I have no fear, and you know why I don't have any fear? Because I know the one. I really do know one. I know the one that's named Christ, and you
Mm-hmm.
can't touch him. If God be for you, who can be against you? You can't touch me.
I hear
If
you,
and
sister.
instead of believing Satan can kill you, these Satanists, if God say they can't touch you, they cannot touch you.
Yeah.
It's as simple as that.
Well, I appreciate
So
you,
what
sister,
I
for
wanted
that
to
words.
ask you, because you didn't say anything in the start of the video. How's your health?
Oh, my
My
You
health
health,
is
look
fine.
good.
Oh, you're talking to him. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. Yes,
my
I'm
health.
sorry. I thought you were talking to me.
My health. You talking?
Uh-huh.
Yes, your health. Your
Yeah,
health.
yeah. My health is good. My health is coming along. Everything is good. I'm in therapy right now, and so everything is great. I mean, I've taken charge over my health. I don't let the doctors just do what they have to do. I've been a strong voice. My wife has been a strong voice for me in this process because I believe that um, I know many of us we forget the Lord in the matter, and I've been before the Lord and the Lord's guide me to tell these doctors what it is that I'm able to take, what I won't take, what I'll go through, and all that there. And um, behind that, there has been truths disclosed of really the matter of these therapies that they have put together to where they have cut some because really they're not really, um, let's just say, um, the truth of the matter to get to assist my body where it needs to be. So I'm thankful for that. So I appreciate you asking that. I appreciate you asking that. And I'm transparent with people because there's nothing I hold back because I know, man, I learned a lot in these last 7, 8 months of these people out here who are suffering. You go in these hospitals and I've been totally healthy all the way up to the age of 58 to this small situation happened. But it has blown my mind to see the amount of people who are sick, who are down and out, who are, I mean, no hope, that are lost. Who, I mean, I've just, You know, my nephew who just got diagnosed with cancer, you know, and you know, just imagine, just 30 years old, well, 29, he'll be 30 this year. And just those who are even younger that might go through. And I'm like, Lord, I ain't got no reason to complain. You blessed me this whole time, and you're the one who's in control. And you know, so I have had an awakening during this time. I have a newfound faith. I have a total different outlook. And like I said in one of my other shows, is that fact that the Lord showed me I was afraid to die. I was afraid to die. Now it's like the hell with death. I get it now. I get it. So there is a liberty when I receive that message to show me that really deep down inside, I was afraid to die. And so with that, I can live now and live in peace and liberty, knowing that the Almighty's got me. I'm good. I'm good. And if today be my last breath, you know, man, I tell you what, I would live in a system that was totally against me. And I rode that horse, and it threw me off several times, and I got back on it. And by the grace of God, I was able to do and achieve beyond than what they would had expected me to do. And though I should have even probably gone further, I will have my crown in heaven, and we will be the leaders, and they will be our maidservants and their bond and our bonds maids, as scripture say. And we will finally have our government, and we will be able to have our godly council and our elect who will be in charge, Christ being the center of the New Jerusalem. So, you know, I don't lose, and I have never lost in
You know, I
anything.
actually don't. I actually don't believe that. I know a lot of people right now believe that, you know, that the world is ending and Christ is going to return. Again, we know no one knows the time. I mean, he can come back in the next second. Okay, he could really come right now. But um, I actually believe that this world is not going to end anytime soon. That's just what's in me right now.
Yeah,
Again, I
yeah.
could be very wrong, but I actually believe that that any deliverance that the Lord is going to be doing, He's going to be doing that like within the next 4 years
Mm,
for Black people. I
mm,
actually believe He is. What I get in my spirit, and I'm not saying, okay, I would not say this if I didn't think I was correct. Okay, but again, you know, I didn't pray about what I was going to say today, and I normally don't like to speak unless I pray about it. But something that's in my spirit for me is I actually believe that, you know, that He will deliver us within the next 4 years. Look
mhm,
like. Um, I don't think it's going to be bombs and fighting and stuff like that. Mm-mm. I think it's going to be economic. It's just He's just going to collapse it.
mhm.
That's what I think.
Yeah.
And I think that He's just going to deliver. And I think the Lord wants to be seen right now. I think He
Mhm,
wants to be seen. He wants people to see Him in action. He wants to see it. He's because what's written is going to come to pass. It has
mhm.
to come to pass, or He'll be a liar. And He's no liar. He's not a man that He shall lie. So
Yeah.
I feel like it's about to come to pass. And as it relates to your health, I'm happy to hear that you are well, you know, because we are
Oh,
all afraid. Technically, some of us, I'll put it this way, every human being, it would be unnatural not to be afraid to die. Um,
mhm,
every human being loves life, and we should. It's a gift, okay?
mhm, mhm,
But do we love life more than we love righteousness? Or do we love life more than we love God?
mhm,
Um,
mhm,
and if we all have to die, everybody, that's a given. How we die is what's important, right?
mhm,
So some people are going to go get hit by a bus and their life would meant nothing. They just got hit by a bus. Others will get murdered or martyred, like Dr. King, Malcolm X, people like that. Okay. But their lives meant something, transformed something.
mhm.
One death, how you die is up to you. I choose to rather die like them. Okay. If I'm going to die, let me die telling the truth and helping my people in some way.
Helping the people. I appreciate that, my sister. I appreciate you all coming on, sharing your thoughts. Very important and impactful to those that who has listened here on this and those who will listen to this video. And it's people like yourselves. If we continue to speak out and share our thoughts and our hearts, I believe that, like you said, those who have gone before us, who was in the struggle, fighting for people, speaking out, uh, their life uh, didn't die in vain. And so that was my whole thing when I, during this past year, was the fact that, Lord, I don't want to die in vain. I just want to die doing your work that you have had me do. And that's what he's had me on this path doing. And so I'm thankful for that. And so I appreciate people like yourself who come in and be part of this. And so I just want to say thank you all. Peace and blessings to each and every one of you all. And I'm going to say farewell to everybody and have a good night. All right.
God bless.
God bless. God bless. So, family, until next time, I hope that y'all join back in. I have some other shows that I want to do. Call in and let's be a voice. Share your hearts. Share what you see going on in your neck of the woods. Share with us what's going on your job. Share with us what's going on, what's transforming in your families. Share with us that what God is doing, depending on the subject matters and all that. So, without further ado, this is your man, not your boy, bringing you another Go Nugget that you can either pick up or you can just kick it aside. Peace. I'm out.